The question of who Ben's second most powerful alien is one that frequently pops up within the fandom. From Ben's vast catalog of transformations, 3 typically emerge as contenders: Clockwork, Atomix, and Waybig. Amongst these, the latter 2 are primarily physical powerhouses who prioritize in sheer strength, making the matchup between Waybig and Atomix a popular topic of debate. Some fans go as far as to completely discard Waybig's base form and compare Atomix to Ultimate Waybig to see if Atomix can topple that giant as well. Well, I'm here to tell you that neither of these matchups are close in any way. I'll go over both sides, their feats, narratives, and capabilities, then look at crew statements to determine who's truly Ben's second most powerful powerhouse. Without any further ado, let's start with Waybig. He debuted by dominating Vilgax and his entire army, but this is merely scratching the surface of Waybig's feats. In Alien Force, one of his first actions is lifting, with some difficulty, the hyperspace jump gate, which is entirely made out of neutronium carbon alloy.
Not a scratch! What's it made of?
Neutronium carbon alloy.
This material has an enormous density, and even though it's alloyed with carbon, its mass is superior to that of the moon itself. Jumping ahead, one of Waybig's more impressive feats is reacting to and overpowering the incursion conquest ray in Frogs of War. The weapon is capable of covering solar distances in seconds, traveling from Earth to Pluto and completely annihilating the dwarf planets, blasting away its fragments at relativistic speeds. The Conquest Ray was also stated by Atea to have the power to destroy the Earth in much the same way.
Aim for the molten core. I don't want any big chunks surviving.
Destroying the Earth in this manner will require energy often referred to as large planet plus levels of energy in the Versus community. Traveling from Earth to Pluto in such a short amount of time would also require massively faster than light speeds. Waybig is not only fast enough to counter this, but powerful enough to completely overwhelm the Conquest Ray. Thus, by all accounts, Waybig himself should be superior to this large planet tiers of power, which is consistent with what Tokustar's are, cosmic giants created in the center of cosmic storms, as presented in Ultimate Alien Cosmic Destruction. Speaking of that game, within it we have potentially the actual limit of Waybig's raw power. As stated before, he should be superior to the large planet levels of the Conquest Ray. In Cosmic Destruction, a genetic duplicate of Waybig absolutely pulverizes a planet. The commonly accepted calculation of this feat puts it at the dwarf star level. While this feat could potentially be disregarded if sticking purely to the show, it doesn't contradict anything that we've seen from Waybig's power already, as it's been established to be above the large planet levels mentioned before. Regardless, Waybig is reasonably at large planet level plus to dwarf star level, a befitting tier for power of this cosmic giant. Atomix is an alien from an unknown species with the power to manipulate and produce nuclear energy. Unlike Waybig, he's only been around since Omniverse, yet he's solidified himself as one of Ben's most powerful aliens. In his debut, he effortlessly defeated Ultimate Humongosaur and Ultimate Spider Monkey with just a handful of attacks. Now, unlike Waybig, who has an extensive catalog of feats, Atomix only has one major feat outside of taking hits from Malgax. This is his ability to create a miniature sun or star, a handheld one to be specific. Using Atomix's height and the Stefan Boltzmann law of radiation, this feat has been calculated at about 1.7 teratons of TNT, or small country level. While this is immensely powerful, it obviously doesn't compare to what Waybig has displayed so far. However, we can further upscale Atomix by considering them superior to the Ultimate Aliens. Narratively, Atomix was introduced as an answer to the conventional Ultimates, essentially all of them except for Ultimate Waybig. Therefore, you could argue the upskills from Ultimate Echo Echo, who could contain a multi-continental explosion from a nuclear fusion grenade. This is fitting considering Atomix's abilities, but still pales in comparison to Waybig. However, the way I've been comparing them thus far is mainly in cross-verse terms. This does not matter if Atomix is clear, superior scaling to Waybig within the series based off the opponents they fought, and there is some overlap between their opponents. These opponents being Malware, Vilgax, and the Ultimate Aliens. The easiest comparison is the Ultimate Aliens. Atomix effortlessly overpowered Ultimate Humongosaur and knocked out Ultimate Spider Monkey by utilizing Nuclear Winner. Some have argued that Ultimate Humongosaur beats Waybig because he could lift Waybig, but Kevin can also lift Alien X, so like, whatever. Anyway, Waybig defeated all the Ultimate aliens, excluding Ultimate Waybig, at once with a single attack while holding back because he didn't want to kill them. He also took Ultimate Humongosaur's missiles without even flinching or taking any damage. Comparatively, Waybig's feat is more impressive, but they're both superior to the Ultimate aliens, so there's not much else to be said there. The bigger comparison involves Malware, Vilgax, and Malgax. Atomix fought against Malgax and was relatively even in combat, but ultimately lost. This is an impressive feat for sure, since Malgax is literally Vilgax being enhanced and boosted by Malware. However, this does not mean he's the strongest version of either character, as this fusion is actively made by the weakest versions of both characters. Omniverse Vilgax has none of his cybernetic enhancements, nor the power that he stole in Ultimate Alien Force. Without those, he's still strong enough to survive the epicenter of a nuclear explosion based on how Max defeated him in the original series, but overall, he's still one of the weakest versions of Vilgax today. Malware, on the other hand, was essentially on death's door, with none of his additional enhancements either. Regardless, together they did create one of the most powerful versions of either character. However, the Malware Waybig bot should reasonably be outright more powerful than Malgax. That Malware had absorbed all of Galvan B, a large chunk of Galvan Prime, and all of the Galvanic Mechamorphs. This effectively gave him the power and mass of an entire planet as he fought Waybig, and Waybig was still clearly Malware superior in combat. He only lost once he was caught off guard, and by that point, Malware started to turn Waybig's strength into his own by absorbing it. Essentially, unless you can argue that Vilgax on his own, without any of his enhancements, is somehow stronger than an entire moon, the entire species of Galvanic Mechamorphs, and a large segment of Galvan Prime's planet, there is no way to say that Malgax is superior to the Malware Waybig fought. If Waybig is stronger than that Malware, and that Malware is superior to Malgax, and Malgax beats Atomix, what does that mean for Atomix scaling in reference to Waybig? Tie this all together with Waybig effortlessly defeating a warlord Vilgax who had grown to his size, and the narrative of which of these aliens is stronger becomes rather clear. With this in mind, why is there the common belief across the fandom that Atomix would beat Waybig? The source of this belief is a statement made by the late Derek J. Wyatt, an art director for Omniverse. He had a blog where fans could send him questions about the show. One of these questions was about who Ben's second most powerful alien was. DJ Wyatt answered with Atomix. While offer statements can and should be taken as rather clear cuts a lot of the time, in the case of Ben 10, it's more complicated than that. The series is created by an entire crew, and Derek's blog was unmoderated by the team. Generally, he mainly provided insights from his perspective or gave his opinions on topics he was asked about. Furthermore, there are many examples where his statements are directly contradicted by other members of the cast. Some of these contradictions are actually directly related to Waybig. For example, Derek thought Waybig's speed originated from an Omnitrix glitch, which Matt Wayne seemingly had no idea about. Additionally, Derek considered Waybig Ben's 6th strongest alien, while Matt Wayne, prior to Atomix's introduction, thought Waybig was Ben's 2nd strongest alien. Both these statements can't be true simultaneously because Matt's statement was during Omniverse as well, and not enough aliens had been introduced to make Waybig fall back by 4 whole spots. The Ink Tank has a video that goes over some other inconsistencies caused by crew member statements that I'll be linking in the comment section below. But for the sake of this discussion, the takeaway should be that we should take the statements with a grain of salt. They're only canon if the show itself has supporting evidence for the statements. And in the case of Atomix being superior to Waybig, the narrative within the show overwhelmingly supports the opposite. With all that covered, I think it's fair to conclude that Waybig would beat Atomix lightly in the same way he beat Ultiimate Echo Echo and Ultimate Alien. As Atomix's best scaling is merely upscaling from Ultimate Echo Echo, Waybig versus Atomix is just not close. Waybig would win with honestly minimal to mid difficulty, solidifying his place as Ben's 2nd or 3rd strongest alien, as Clockwork still exists. Waybig versus Clockwork is a different discussion altogether, one which I think is actually pretty close, but that's a discussion for another day. If you'd like to see that discussion, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And maybe one day I'll cover who I truly believe Ben's 2nd biggest trump card is.